back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing a quick coloring in The Flower Year by Leila Duly. I'm going to hop over to October and do a quick small little picture of acorns. So let's have a look. So we're going to be doing this little picture here, nothing too hectic, just something really simple and quick, should be done within half an hour. And I am going to be using a variety of pencils, just browns and greens, and the inspiration for these color combos are from Miss Martley. So check out her YouTube coloring channel. She does a whole lot of coloring tutorials and color alongs, mostly with background music. But I recently was asked to assist one of my subscribers convert the Prismacolor combos to Polychromos. So from those color combos and that whole swatching I did to just assist, I am drawing the polys that I will be using today. So I don't take credit for the color combos. I give that credit completely to Miss Martley, but we are going to go ahead and get started. So what I'm going to do is grab a distress ink, a blue distress ink, and I'm just going to do a bit of the background, and then we will get started with the coloring. So here is my mini distress ink. It is the faded jean. I only have a few of these distress inks, and I always leave the spongy bits inside the lid, so it's easy, it doesn't get mixed up and colors muddled up or all of that. And then I just attach it to the back, and I'm going to grab a piece of paper. As you can see, I've got quite a lot of blue on it, so and I'm not going to worry about getting any of this onto my picture. Because I'm going to go over it anyway with my pencils. And then I'm just going to spray with water. And then I'm going to use some tissue paper and just pull up some of that water. So I've made it quite messy because of how I started, the effect that it started with. So instead of having like one big blue splotch. If I make it splotchy around, that should help to just sort of make it look a bit more deliberate. So that's how I turn like something that would be a flop into something good. Okay, so I'm just going to let that dry and then we will begin coloring. Okay, so for the acorns, we're going to take our Bistre number 179 and we're just going to gently lay down a beautiful layer. And I'm going to use a bit of Earth Green Yellowish 168. And we're just going to give it a bit of a green tinge. And then come back to our Bistre. Then I'm going to come back with my Earth Green Yellowish. And just begin to place in some of my highlighted areas. And then we want a bit more of that Earth Green Yellowish here in the vein. Next we want to bring in some Earth Green. And what I'm just doing is a base layer of my colors so that I can see where I want them. And I'm just going to be using these pencils throughout. So next I want to come in with my Permanent Green Olive 167. And remember that I am building up my colors from my lightest to my darks, because with Polychromos this works the best. We don't want to be going too much from dark straight into light. We want to build up the layers. So while I'm doing this, I thought I would chat to you about pencils. So it's one of those things where you're starting out coloring and you want to know what pencils to get, which ones are the best. And now pencils are really just all up to personal preference. Some people don't like pencils, they prefer markers or water-based mediums. So it really comes down to what is your preferred way of coloring. Now, if you are somebody who does enjoy pencils and would like, generally when you are starting coloring, it is often advised to get a beginner coloring set of pencils because you want something that is budget friendly and so that you can test the waters and see if coloring is really for you, and then grow into buying those more expensive pencils. But what if you're a more experienced colorist and you want to purchase one of those bigger pencil sets then and get artist grade? What do? Which one do you go for? Again, it comes down to how you color in, your budget. So I'm going to try and give you just my opinion, and that's all it really is. It's just my opinion on these sort of things, what I think about them. It's in no way this is what you must do. You may even disagree with me, which is totally okay, because opinions are meant to be either agreed with or disagreed with. But opinions are never truth or a hard and fast rule. They're just an opinion. So when I started coloring, I had Derwent Artists because that is something my family had gifted me, and I started with that. But they don't work well with the Johanna Basford's Secret Garden book. So I then hopped online, I joined Facebook groups, and I started to have a listen to what other people were using, and I realized that Castle Arts was quite a affordable brand. It seemed to be reputable, so I bought myself a set of 72 Castle Arts, and for a year that was all I colored with. I got frustrated when a lot of tutorials and color alongs were with Prismacolors, and I really wanted to follow along and grow in my skills. So I would try and match the color along video to my Castle Arts and see if that helped, and sometimes it did and sometimes it didn't. So what I then ended up doing is I would just watch the videos and get an idea of the technique and go from there. And I found that that was also quite helpful. I still like my Castle Arts. I enjoy it when I find paper that works great with them. Hannah Carlson books are quite good with Castle Art pencils. Now, when I say Castle Arts, I'm not referring to the Castle Art Gold. I'm referring to the Castle Arts that came out 2 years ago. So they're more original brand. Subsequently, they have gone and brought out an oil-based set of pencils, which is your Castle Art Gold. And then you've got the pastel tints, which as far as I understand is your more pastel colors. Now, I personally don't really care for pastel colors. I like bright, bold colors in the same way that I'm not one for a lot of dark black colors. I like them for accents, but I do like bright, vibrant colors. So that is just a personal thing. So you get soft wax pencils, you get hard wax pencils. Oil pencils lay down differently to wax pencils. Oil pencils, this is chrome green opaque, and this is my darkest green. So with oil-based pencils, you want to layer them a lot. Light layers build up from your lightest to your darkest, and so on and so forth, and then go back down. Your wax-based pencils, you do want to layer as well, but they are more blendable into each other, and they don't necessarily need a whole lot of layers. You can blend them quite well into each other a lot quicker than oil-based pencils. Hard pencils are great if you are somebody who has a hard or heavy hand and you press hard quite quickly and you're struggling to get your pressure right. So that's where hard-based pencils, whether wax or oil, really work well, because you can then have something that is a little more forgiving. It doesn't break as easily as your soft pencil cores do. They tend to break quite quickly. And then obviously you've got your budget-friendly pencils and your artist-grade pencils. Now, in your budget-friendly pencils, there are quite a few pencil brands that are actually just replicating or duplicating themselves and rebranding. So to my knowledge, and I stand to correction on this, Sue Color, Color, and Shuttle Art are pretty much the same brand. So as far as I understand, you could buy any of them as long as they're the black barrels and they are interchangeable. Then you have Arteza, which are slightly harder core than the Castle Arts original, but their pigment is a lot brighter. You get the Black Widows, which are also quite nicely, but their pencils are more in a what do you call it? A set. So you have to buy a lot of sets to get the full range. Whereas Castle Arts or Artezas, you can buy the full set, and then you can be done and move on. So what are some of your harder core wax pencils? Well, you get Arteza, you get Marco Raffines, I think Erogeton as well. I've heard Erogeton are quite a hardcore. Then for your soft core budget pencils, I would say Castle Arts, possibly your Black Widows. They are a lot softer, so you could have your Black Widows in there. What about your oil-based pencils? Well, you've got the Star Joy. Those are oil-based pencils designed by a colorist with an artist's background. And you also get the Brut Funo squares, which are oil-based and are quite loved by the community, the coloring community. You've got Polychromos, which are your more artist grade oil-based pencils. Now, oil-based pencils don't build up as much of a wax film to them, so they do blend. They blend really, really well, but you need to be patient with them and put down a lot more layers. So if you're not somebody who enjoys layering, I wouldn't recommend oil-based pencils. But if you need to have a harder pencil lead, then oil-based pencils like Polychromos are a good option for you. Holbeins are also really, really good. I've not got Holbeins, but I have heard that they are a lovely pencil. The downside with Holbeins are the price. So as if you're a beginner, maybe save up for Holbeins or try Prismacolors and Polychromos first. Then you get the Faber-Castell Pablos, which are also oil-based. Then you, as far as your pencils go, for watercolor pencils, you've got Castle Art watercolor pencils, which are quite nice, quite good color. Then you also have your Albrecht Dürer pencils, which are done by Faber-Castell. They're also quite good. This is back to my earth green yellowish. So you have your Albrecht Dürer pencils. You also get Inktense. The difference with Inktense and your watercolor pencils are just that when activated, they create a ink tone instead of water paint. So there are many types of pencils that you can get. It is quite common, I think, to buy several sets of pencils and then after a while develop a preference for a handful of sets and the other sets just collect dust. I think that is quite a normal thing, so if that does happen to you, do not worry. For me, I would say that start off with a budget pencil, something that's within your price range, and then once you're comfortable with the ideas of layering and some of the techniques of coloring with pencil, then build up to your more expensive sets. And if you like a soft waxy core, I would suggest Prismacolor pencils, and if you do use Prismacolor pencils, just a regular sharpener seems to work really well and limits breaking the tips. And just remember, you need a very light pressure with Prismacolors. If you're somebody who enjoys a harder pencil lead, then I would say Polychromos is a good option. I would also encourage Castle Art or Artisas as a beginner set. I think that they are really affordable and quite good. And then obviously just practice. Bearing in mind that paper quality does make a world of difference with the way your pencils will react. And you can also mix your pencils. So Polychromos and Prismas do work well together. You can use them a bit interchangeably. Wax and oil can be laid over each other, and you can get some lovely results with that. If you have Inktense pencils, both Prismacolor and Polys layer over Inktense pencils really well, in my opinion. As always, this is all just my opinion. In no ways am I saying that I am correct. I could be wrong. It's just what I've experienced. Right, so now I'm going to take some of the Burnt Umber and I'm going to use that to just deepen my shadowed areas. Right, then I'm going to go over it again with my chrome green opaque. So what pencils would I not recommend? Well, I would not recommend Marker Raffines simply because this is Burnt Umber. I haven't found them to be that great. I've struggled with them to match the bright paper to them. They don't seem to blend very well, and you either layer them, the pigment either goes down too much, too quickly, or not enough when you press lightly. So I find them a bit frustrating. I haven't spent a lot of time with Black Widows. I think Black Widows are average. I think they've got potential if you're prepared to spend the money to build up the sets and use them, but they haven't really grabbed me. Then you're going to come back in with your permanent green olive. And I think also, like with pencils, if you find yourself somebody who just doesn't need to have every brand of pencil, that, you know, that's okay. And if you are somebody who wants to collect all the different pencil brands, that's also okay. There's room for both. Right now I don't feel there's a need for me to have all the different pencil brands. I am keen to try out a different budget pencil set. I've got my eye on the shuttle art pencils. I'm just hoping I can make sure that they are the other version of the Sioux colors. So, because I struggled to get the Sioux color pencils. Alright, now we come back to our lightest color, which is the earth green yellowish. And I'm not going to go over all of it. I want to leave some of it quite light because I'm liking the contrast it's creating. Alright, so that is our leaves. Now we're going to come in with our chrome green opaque. And then we're going to bring in some Bistre. I want this to be a bit of a brownish green. And then the burnt umber. back down to my chrome green opaque. And some more of that Bistre. I want a bit more of that Burnt Umber. And then the earth green. And back to my Bistre. My green opaque, chrome green opaque. Right, so now I want to use my Burnt Sienna. Then I'm coming back in with my earth green yellowish. My Burnt Sienna. My earth green yellowish. My Burnt Umber. And my Burnt Sienna. And I get my Bistre. an earth green yellowish, Bistre. Then I'm coming back to my burnt umber. And then Bistre. So we need a bit of sepia now, because this is needing to be quite dark. So back to my Bistre. And this is my green opaque. My burnt umber. Burnt Sienna. Sepia. And then Bistre. And then some earth green and some green yellowish. Sepia. And Bistre. Sepia. Burnt Sienna. And that is how I would color acorns. So that is the end of this quick tutorial on how to color acorns and leaves with a bit of green tinge to it. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this quick color along, and I will see you in the next video. Until next time, take care.